I was thinking of different terms I shouldn't say on the podcast, but like
memory bukkake. I'll say
it. How are we so in sync yet over all these years? I don't understand.
This week on Nerd Legion, we are covering, Doa, our very first anime. I know. Real anime. Now, we've done animated shows. From Japan.
Yes, that's right. It's pronounced anime.
Oh, okay. Thank you. We previously have covered animated shows like Scavenger's Reign or Blue Eye Samurai, including Blue Eye Samurai, which was literally set in Japan. But this is made by a Japanese studio, even though it was commissioned by Cartoon Network, an American company, for Adult Swim. So it was financed by Americans. And as you discussed before we started this show, actually directed by by a Korean man.
You're trying to claim everybody. It's like, they're all Americans. Actually, no.
Sunghoo Park, who resides in Japan, has worked on Jujutsu Kaisen, probably most notably. So he has been for many years an animator and director within the space, and he is the one who is kind of the showrunner of Ninja Kamui.
It's really interesting to talk about Sunghoo Park for a second. As we dive into this, we still need to give kind of a brief overview to it, but it will be a very brief overview because it's not exactly like a new story per se. Speaking of, we talk about rehash things and oh boy, but anyway, it's funny that he's known for Jujutsu Kaisen. He directed the first season, and he directed I believe the prequel movie as well. And I've watched the first season of Jujutsu Kaisen. I really liked it actually. It's one of the few animes animes I've watched. I'm going to stop doing that now. It's anime. It's one of the few animes I've watched in recent years. I've been catching up on One Piece because I started playing the card game and casting the card game, so I figured I should probably watch that cartoon, and so I'll have it like on the background while I'm doing other things. And because there's only like 15 minutes of actual episode in that, I'm already on like 276 in that show. But it flies by because not much happens in each episode, so you get through it quickly. But Jujutsu Kaisen is the type of anime that you actually want to like not have on in the background. You want to actually just be watching it because the animation is extremely good, the story is really cool, the universe that it's set in is really neat, the powers are very complex. In fact, one of my favorite things about it is that the characters' abilities gain strength the more they explain them to their opponents. This is an in-world thing, if I'm understanding it correctly.
Actually.
Which I love because then that like gives credence to the anime trope of always over-explaining your powers at the beginning of a fight. This they actually gave it an in-universe reason, so I like that. So there's a lot of things I like about that anime, and the fight scenes in it are fantastic, obviously too, which is something that carries over into Ninja Kamui quite a bit. But if I had to describe Ninja Kamui, I would say it's like Jujutsu Kaisen light. It's like Jujutsu Kaisen is Lego, and Ninja Kamui is like Duplo blocks or like Play School. It's basically like it's an introductory anime, I would say, where it's not very complex, got a lot of ninjas in it. Got good fight stuff, plenty of violence, and not a whole lot of substance to it. I think I'm pretty justified in saying, but it's a fun watch for the most part. I feel very, and we haven't watched the whole thing obviously yet because as we record this, there's only 9 episodes out right now. But we figured that's enough to talk about it. And I think I'm very tepid on it. I'm like, it's okay. Yep. The fight scenes are cool, but it's definitely not something where like after we finish recording this, I may not even go back and watch the rest of it. I'm going to be honest, but we're here and we're going to talk about it at least. There you go. There you go.
I have to say, like, I saw a lot of good reviews of this show, and the problem, anime fans, the problem with you is that you tell everybody every anime is good, and it's like, I've been through this kind of time and time again, and I'm not going to say this is in the same like major anime release,
definitely not.
Yeah, as some of the other series that have been recommended to me. You know, if we look at some of the really hype animes over the years, such as, you know, going way back right now, but Death Note, I actually enjoyed. At least the start of Death Note. The start of Death Note is wonderful. It gets stupid the longer it goes.
It's one of those animes that like turns a corner and then it like you're like, oh, I liked it better before this major event.
No, the first 13 episodes are great though, and it's super iconic. You know, and then along came Attack on Titan, which I watched like 4 episodes of and realized it was hot garbage, and then turned off forever.
That's another one that went completely off the rails towards the end too. I'm like, okay, this is. I was on board until like, you know, a few seasons in. I'm like, oh, okay, well we're doing this now. All right. But
anyway, the point is, it's like a lot of the anime that I watched was when I was in high school and college, so like early 2000s. So I'm very much coming from the like Evangelion, Cowboy Bebop era of anime. And I do dip my toes back in the water every now and again, Doa, if I hear something is super good. You know, it's not the first anime we've even done on this channel. We did Tokyo Godfathers, which is Satoshi Kon, but Satoshi Kon is fucking amazing, and, you know, did a handful of films. And you can go watch the foreplay episode about Tokyo Godfathers that we did. And I do think, you know, as you know, just like any medium, there's going to be some good, some bad that comes out of it. But the thing about anime fans, they're like, this is so amazing. And they make all these recommendations to you. And it's like, you know, this series is like very mid to low end of mid.
I've said it before, where I've watched a lot of first episodes of animes because, like, I would never say I'm an anime fan, but I've always been a fan of a lot of the art styles that are in anime, and there are many different art styles in anime, obviously. But like, I've liked a lot of that. I did nothing but draw Dragon Ball Z characters when I was in high school and stuff. I just loved the art of Akira Toriyama and that, and Chrono Trigger and all that. But I've never been willing to call myself an anime fan, because when I think of an anime fan, I know a lot of people that will just watch anything that comes out of Japan that's made, and they'll be like, this is the best thing ever. And just like any other medium of entertainment, the vast majority of it is bad, and that definitely applies to anime as well. So I've watched a lot of first episodes. I would say I'm a little bit less of a normie than you are, Monte Cristo, when it comes to anime, because I've seen things like Ra Zephyr, Last Exile,
I've seen Ra Zephyr.
You've seen Ra Zephyr? Oh, okay.
I've seen Last Exile as well.
Really?
These are all
Have
from
Have you seen Megalobox, though?
No.
Megaloboxing? Oh, see, there you go. There you go, viewers at home. What a normie, huh? Tell me about Dragon Ball again. Why don't you? Have you seen Outlaw Star? How about that Gundam Wing, right? Best Gundam.
I've seen Outlaw Star.
You're wrong. Gundam Unicorn is the best Gundam, and nobody can convince me otherwise. But anyway, so I've watched a good amount. But this is another one where it's like,
I mean, you're basically just name checking a bunch of early 2000 series that I would and have seen and did see.
Well, so One Punch Man, I really like as well. Although I like the manga more than the anime for One Punch Man, and I did just start watching Frieren on the recommendation of a lot of people, and the first couple episodes are very solid. So I might continue watching that, but yeah, we'll see. So there's a lot of starts.
So anyway, where are we at with Ninja Kamui? Because like the parallels here to you know, to other anime is really hilarious. You know, in many ways it's like kind of a bad version of John Wick, which is not an anime but kind of is an anime actually.
It parallels a lot of American action film tropes, I feel like,
or even Cowboy Bebop even. You know, it shares a lot of similarities to Cowboy Bebop.
But I think if you look at Cowboy Bebop, that was like very noir. That was very much, you know, paralleling a lot of the storylines that came out of that era of like, you know, organized crime filmmaking and stuff. You know, that's where it got. That's, you know, why jazz is a big part of the soundtrack too in Cowboy Bebop, right? Because it takes a lot of its inspiration from that sort of crime drama era of cinema. You know, so this has the age old tale of like, I tried to get out, but they keep pulling me back in. You know. Where it's like, so the main character, Higan, is a ninja assassin, escapes his ninja assassin life with his,
which is what I talk about Cowboy Bebop, because it's the same thing where Spike is escaping the syndicate and Vicious, you know, his former partner is trying to kill him, and they set up this whole like his former friend is trying to kill him throughout this. Like, it is quite similar.
Yeah. There's nothing new in not Jujutsu Kaisen has a lot of new stuff. There's nothing new in Ninja Kamui. you've got like, mecha ninjas, which is always cool to see, and I love the art in this show. I really love the character design. I think a lot of that stuff is very cool. But yeah, storyline wise, I mean, like it's all been done before to death. Like when they had more than like 4 vignettes of look how normal our life is in a row, I was like, oh, they're so dead. They're all going to die. They're not going to die right away. The mom of the kid's going to die in like 15 minutes, and they did. And then Higan is going to die at the end of the series. We don't know yet because it hasn't been released, but I would bet money that he probably will. He's definitely dead. Mike the cop, like they keep talking about how close he is to retirement. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're setting. I mean, and that makes me think he's gonna live actually through it, because they're doing so much of the like, oh, he was just days away from retirement kind of stuff with him, which is kind of hilarious. And honestly, there are some, I think, intentionally funny things in this show too that kind of maybe poke fun at sort of some of those tropes to these revenge crime drama kind of storylines. But yeah, I mean, like I said again, like outside of the fight choreography, there's just really not a whole lot of new stuff to speak of in this. It's all very generic, which is why I labeled it again as one of the like, intro to animes, where it's nothing, it's not going to tax your brain to watch this show. You're going to be able to just sit back and kind of enjoy the pretty colors and motion. Yeah, that's how it starts. Typical. He got out, they kill his wife and kid, so now he's on a mission for revenge. Good luck.
Speaking of the killing of his wife and kid, obviously it's going to happen in like the first 5 minutes of the show. Yeah. And they did one of the things that I hate the most in TV or film, Toa, which is that so they show a montage of the happy life, and then immediately, Doa, they then show flashbacks to the montage that we just saw like 5 minutes earlier. As soon as they do that, you're like, oh, they're extra dead, because it's such a fake, cheap trick to try and generate sympathy, where it's like, oh, he's playing with his kid in the bath. Oh, wait, you just saw that. Here it is again. So you really feel that he's playing with his kid in the bath and living a happy life. It's like, I don't need a flashback to something I saw in a 20-minute anime episode 5 minutes ago before you obviously murder his family.
And then that We So Normal stuff is going to be flashback to multiple times throughout the season when he needs just this extra little push to like kill whatever villain he's fighting. Again. He's like, oh, wait, I did ride on a motorcycle with my son. It's yeah.
And
so there's that.
It's just so funny because they do the thing where they try and generate sympathy for the characters by revealing their backstories through flashbacks, right, and memories. But really, this entire show would just be stronger if we just did it sequentially and we got to see Higan and his wife meeting as ninjas and then going into hiding and then being attacked. Like, we shouldn't start with the attack, because when you kill his wife and son, you don't feel anything because you have no sympathy for these characters whatsoever. Whereas if we just did the fucking show in order, from ninja training to him trying to leave and then the other ninjas hunting him down and him taking his revenge, all of a sudden, it's actually just a more compelling story with more compelling characters.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, when you go back and you look at a lot of that backstory stuff, how the one ninja with the disfigured face, Emma was her fake name that they were kind of using, like her relationship with his wife, whose name escapes me again, because it's all like
Mari.
They're very generic characters, so I don't really pay attention to the names. Mari, sure. Whatever. So the relationship between those two characters is interesting too. And so, yeah, like you said, if you had that go sequentially, then when things happen down the road, you'd be like, oh, well, that's really meaningful because, he saved Mari, Mari saved her, she saves him, and there, all this stuff becomes much more, impactful because what the characters have been through together already. But yeah, showing it as just
also the twist where Emma was like a plant working in the FBI is still a twist in this case, because you never see her face. And so you could still have the plot twist where it's like we don't know what became of the masked character, and you reveal that she was actually a double agent inside of the FBI working for the Ninja Clan. But it's also just hilariously thin reasoning behind everything that's just like super boring in this series, such as the Ninja Clan was there to protect Japan, but then they decided that they were going to sign on with some like global megacorp for reasons that are not really ever stated. And also the global megacorp is just like cartoonishly evil and owns their own city and is developing this power and just using the ninjas as their secret army. Like, you just have to ignore how trash this entire storyline is.
Yamaji!
Yamaji!
He's just gonna randomly sell out and just like, oh, we're not protecting Japan anymore, guys. We're just gonna.
And the other ninjas are like, what? This is a betrayal. And then he just kills a couple of them, and they're like, okay, we'll do it.
Okay. HR will contact you shortly to get your insurance signed and 401k set up. They're like, all right, sure, sounds good.
I guess we all are here and we're super powerful and we all have our own secret techniques. And we signed on to protect Japan, and that's literally everything you ever taught us. But I guess we're just a mercenary force for an international conglomerate now, and we're just cool with that. We're fine.
We're just we're working for Facebook now, I guess. It's that's kind of what it came down to. Like a big social company with a strong VR
Apple
presence. Like, we got Ninja Mark Zuckerberg in there, and like, they basically just like they sold out their ancient ninja clan to Meta. And that's our plot. But so that's happening. And of course you've got all the generic action movie organized crime bad guys are here. You've got the super suave guy that's very concerned about his hair. You've got the incredible pervert. You've got the previous friend who is now sworn to kill his other friend. Like all the stereotypes are here. They're all there. Yep. Present and accounted for.
The sociopath, the pervert / sociopath, psychopath.
Yep. That's right. Which we have to bring up for the moment that I made the mistake of starting to watch this show with the English dub, and it's probably one of the worst dubs I've ever heard in my life. It's hilariously bad. It's
which
like
is weird
told
because
them to play it like it's a comedy, which is how it sounds.
What was your favorite line in the dub?
Where the pervert ninja keeps talking about what a nice piece of ass Egon is, like over and over and over again, to the point where it's like, all right, already, we get it. You're a fan of his ass. We understand, but
and like I imagined, looking at your ass makes me all hot and bothered.
Like he just won't stop. It's just that little guy just he just loves that ass. What can I say? So then I switched to the Japanese audio, and it was a night and day difference. I was like, oh, the show is semi-watchable now. What a relief.
It's a little weird that the dub is bad, because I assume that's what actually aired on television.
Yeah.
And it was made,
but it is.
It was paid for by an American company who probably would have been more interested in doing a good dub. It's weird,
but it is quite bad. The dialogue and the way it's delivered sounds like an early 2000s video game, where it's like the cop guy's like, oh man, you're telling me this ninja, they're out there killing people?
If you start going on about some kind of Iron Ninja or Captain Shinobi, I swear to God.
Screw them! Goddamn company!
And it's like, what? So I have to explain what makes a dub bad is the way the lines are delivered doesn't seem to fit the look on the character's face or the context of the scene at all. It's like they just got a list of lines and just read them with direction from someone else without seeing the show or something. I have no idea if they're even done that way sometimes or not, but that's the impression I get, and that's why I say this dub isn't very good, because it doesn't seem like the way the lines are delivered fits the context of what you're seeing at all. And again, they're just either hilariously overplayed, or they're just like there's just no life in them at all. So yeah, it's I don't gripe about the dubs very often. In fact, I'm usually someone who'll just watch it just because. But but this I did not like. This I had to turn off. It was something. It's impressive that they got me to do
Joe
that.
and I were texting about this, and he was complaining about this, and I asked him, "Are you watching the dub?" Because I was watching the sub, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" He admitted that mistakes were made, and then, in true Doa fashion, he tried to mind control me to suffering through the dub. Which
of
then
course.
I said,
Why would I want to suffer
no.
alone? You're lost. You're lost. We could have this shared experience, which I think would have been important for the show. But you put your own personal comfort. I'm out there suffering for my art.
No, you just forgot that there was a sub.
Yeah, I didn't even look, actually. I just hit play and I just took whatever it gave me. That's what I do on this show now. I mean, we're gonna watch Scargiver soon, so we kind of just have to accept it. But yeah, it's so the dub is not good. Watch the dub if you want to get a laugh, because it is funny. But watch the other dialogue if you want to semi take it seriously.
On the topic of like things that are kind of weird that happen in this show as a result of it at least having some, the money coming from America and apparently not having much oversight as a result of the dub, like just little things. So like the fact that they spell Mike Morris's last name with 2 S's and 1 R is like deeply
Why not?
weird.
I mean, you can
Mike
do these
Morris.
things in anime. You can do these things in anime. They can do whatever you want. You ever see that the list of like names from the Japanese baseball video game?
Yes.
It's stuff like that. You can just kind of make names up.
But I'm just surprised.
Truck is the name or something.
What's his name?
Bob Dugnut, or
Bob Dugnut.
They're all names that sound like they could be names, but they're weird enough to be like clearly not actual names.
But Mike Morris is like a normal name. It's just misspelled, which is weird.
Yeah.
And also I loved Higan's undercover name when he was pretending to be an American farmer, because his name was Joe Logan, which is almost identical to Joe Rogan.
That's true. That is true. I mean,
also, he's a martial artist,
too.
Joe Rogan.
Yep. Former ninja, like Joe. Well, I don't know about that. There is. I'm looking, and there are over 6,000 records for Morris, spelled Moriss, on Ancestry.com. So
okay, well maybe they did their research.
I think you gotta issue an apology here.
All right. Well, here's another thing about Mr. Mike Morris's character is that later on in the series they show him getting drunk, right?
Yes.
At the bar. And they did the hilarious Asian thing that they do, or Japanese thing, which is give him the alcohol flush reaction.
The rosy cheeks, right? Which is genetically something that isn't primarily East Asian gene. And I have never seen in my entire life a black person have that reaction. And yet they give him the alcohol flush reaction within the show, which is just super funny if you look at it. I can't say I've done that either. That's that's a famous thing. Like I remember when I was living in Korea, like a lot of my friends would be like, "Oh, we could never drink in high school because even if you don't drink very much, you get that flush. Your parents will always know,
Yeah.
So it's like a thing that they would talk about. But when I lived over there, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's. I saw that and it did strike me as a little bit odd, but then again, I just chalk it up to that being the universal cartoon sign of being intoxicated.
Well,
so I'm willing to give it a pass.
I just think it's funny that I mean, obviously we know what it means, but that is very specific to genetics in East Asian people. And so for them to use it on
than I am
Mr. Mike Morris, like, it's just funny. Like I it's just an aside. I just found it amusing. That's all.
It was entertaining. I like that we had the things like when they were trying to track Higan. They did the typical action movie thing where Emma was just typing faster. She's like, I gotta type fast enough to. I gotta. Hold on. I gotta click. You hear that? Like that's me tracking you right now. Yeah, I'm tracking you as hard as I can.
I'm on VPN. Yeah. Good luck, bitch.
Oh, I'm behind 7 proxies. But yeah, I love that's they went back. They took all the action movie tropes where it's like tracking, and they're like, she's mad hackering him by typing as fast as she can. on her keyboard, as if tracking someone in the year of our Lord 2024 doesn't just involve clicking a single button and waiting to see if it works. Like, of course that's how it is. So I like stuff like that, you know.
Mike Morris.
上老眼だ。
上老眼なんて名前のやつは存在しない。
We got all the action movie tropes in here. We do. I did like her high-tech VW bug. That was
cool.
That was neat, actually. Yeah, that was a neat touch. Like there's neat little things in this show. And like I said, I was entertained, but I was mostly entertained by the ninja design, their techniques,
Sure.
and the fight scenes. Because the fight,
Oh yeah,
the fight
that's the
scenes
core
are
of the show.
fantastic in this game.
But,
Yeah.
but the thing about it is that, you know, obviously, like, we can have cool fight scenes a la Blue Eye Samurai, but also have like a way better show and way
Totally,
better
yeah.
animation. Because the animation quality here, it's in the vein of a bunch of like hyper violent ninja shows that have been perpetuated since probably Ninja Scroll
Ninja
is the
Scroll,
earliest
probably,
one that
yeah.
I know of. But it's, I mean,
That's
the animation
earliest
is,
one that was big in the West, anyway. It seems
yeah,
like.
in the early 90s. And it was a very influential film, even on Western filmmakers to this day. Like, you know, that and what? Ghost in the Shell and Akira were like the big anime movies from the 90s that had a very large effect, I think, on Western audiences and particularly Western filmmakers. So lots of Western filmmakers have talked about the Akira, Ninja Scroll, Ghost in the Shell influence. And then, you know, obviously Miyazaki as well, huge Western influence.
Yeah, for sure.
But in terms of the more, I would say, adult anime features, those would be the three that pop into my mind immediately. And Ninja Scroll is incredibly violent, obviously, and great film. But you know, this also just feels like a worse version of Ninja Scrolls in many ways. And then also, by the time we get towards the end of the episodes that have been released, Doa, it starts to just slide into Mecha Show, which like I didn't want. Like I don't
totally
want
wanted
the
that.
Mecha Show. Get out.
I always wanted Mecha Show. Yeah, I mean when they got like ninja mech suits, I'm like, all right, now we're talking. Now we're talking. Yeah, because I thought the designs were cool. I love one of the things I've always loved in my life was mecha and mecha designs. So I'm always interested in seeing a new mecha design. And these aren't technically mecha, right? They aren't giant robots, but they are, you know, robot mechanized ninja suits that are approximately human size, slightly larger. But I thought that was awesome. I like that because you get to about episode, you know, 5 or 6, and you're like, all right, well, we've seen a lot of ninja versus ninja fights. How are they going to elevate the fight scenes and take that to the next level? Because we've kind of played out the ninja combat stuff.
Have
And
we?
so it's
I
like,
mean, we had
yeah, let's
hundreds
add
of
in some mech
episodes of
stuff.
Naruto where Naruto, the main thing was they just kept introducing new ninja powers that were cool, and the fight scenes were always cool, even if the plot sucked.
I think that is true, but I think in the context of this show, we were clearly getting to the end of the creative rope here, and we needed something else with that. So I think it was a natural progression to jump into the mecha suits there. But in my notes, I have that this show is like an anime Twinkie, where we all know what Twinkies are, right? Where it's those cream-filled pastry things. You know, you buy them in like packs of 2, made by Hostess or whatever. And you go for a long time without eating a Twinkie, and you're like, man, I remember Twinkies were really good. I'm gonna get some Twinkies. And so you get one of those little 2-pack of Twinkies, and you take a bite, and you're like, oh, this is great. Like the cream, like the super, you know, rich cream filling, the you know, spongy sort of cake dough, and then you take the second bite, and you're like, oh, this is awful. Why did I buy this? You know, and so that's
sweet.
what. Yeah, that's what this show is like, right? It's like the first bite is like, oh, I like this, you know, hyper combat focus, you know, ninja anime kind of thing, violent. Ooh, it feels classic and fun. And then you're like, oh, I've seen this anime like 10 times before already. Like, there's nothing new, nothing at all. Okay, well, all right.
Well, and I think my comparison to John Wick, which is another like just violent vengeance arc, is appropriate. But the thing that John Wick does really well, Doa, is it never tries to actually explain the story. It just tries to be cool. That's the only thing it does. It's just stylish, just good action sequences. I mean, literally, it's just a movie where a guy's dog is killed. John Wick is a kind of shadowy assassin figure who's just on a rampage now, and there's very little flashbacks or exposition that takes place. You're just in for the ride of John Wick, like, avenging his dog.
Yeah, I wish we just got more action.
Exactly. Exactly.
As someone who...
I am, look, I thought the whole family narrative where they were hiding and, like I said, the flashbacks was really shittily done in the first episode. But if it had just ended right there, Doa, and the rest of it was just blood, I would be kind of down with this show, because I don't want is all of the flashbacks of, like, his wife. They're terrible.
Well, clearly you underestimated the propensity for these shows to include copious amounts of melodrama with lines such as, "From the moment I met you, I broke the code," which I had to write down that line because I loved it. Yeah.
出会った時俺はすでに掟を破っている
So it's like, and I think going to such extreme levels of melodrama is one of this show's selling points, honestly, because at least there's no half measures there. They go for it, you know. But it is again one of those things where it's just, you know, it just makes you giggle, and then you move on, you know. Yeah. But I did like that line. I feel like I'll repeat that to like my wife or something like that when the context arrives or something, you know. Find a way, you know. But you ever see the trailer for that the Final Fantasy game where the guy just wanted to kill chaos? It's like, I hate chaos and I'm gonna kill chaos. Look it up. It's Final Fantasy. What is it? It was a huge viral meme for a while. The "We're here to kill chaos." It's a Stranger of Paradise. It was like a Final Fantasy tertiary story, but the guy just throughout the trailer just talks about, like, have you seen chaos? I hate chaos. I'm here to kill chaos. I felt like we were getting to that level with Higan going after Yamaji, being like, I have to kill this guy. Where is he? I have to kill him. It reminded me of that. And for those of you out there who know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about.
Looks like chaos has been waiting for us. Chaos. We're here to kill chaos.
You know. If you're here to kill chaos, you know. Will he kill him? I don't know. We'll find out. If we decide to watch it.
Anyway, back to Ninja Kamui. Like, you know, where this goes is they try and also, of course, because this show is ridiculously predictable, it's like right before they kill the Emma character, that's when they provide all the, like, mentorship flashbacks from Mike Morris in the bar, singing the sub is actually hilarious for this, because singing in very terrible English some really god-awful song about "You Are My Girlfriend."
I love that. That was great. Obviously it was meant to be comedic, you know, but it was interesting. I meant to go back and watch that in the dub, but I didn't do it. I should have done it, but because I would imagine it would be funny, equally funny, actually. Yeah.
Baby, 'cause you are my girlfriend. Maybe you're my one and only.
And then, of course, they immediately kill her. As the suit blows up of the guy who can't fight with his arms for whatever reason, and he just has floating centipedes and leg kicks in his suit.
Hey, that's creative. I'm down for it. You know, show me something new. Show me the guy that just kicks and throws ghost centipedes at you. You know, I like that.
And also apparently gets a haircut every day because his entire character of Big D is caring about his hair, which is very weird and pointless.
Oh, Big D. Oh, there's certainly no, you know, hidden meaning behind that name. I'm sure it just stands for Daniel, and he's a tall individual, so that's where it comes from. But that kind of did. There are things like that kind of remind me of Jujutsu Kaisen a little bit, where you have these kind of very, you know, creative, unique sort of powers And I I'm not being one of those anime fans we talked about earlier, but I would really recommend watching Jujutsu Kaisen if you haven't, because that show I actually do really like. And it is more creative, and the story is fun, and the characters are more engaging, and it is less tropey in some ways. In other ways, it's very
this is nothing but tropes, though. Like,
yeah, this show in particular, Ninja Kamui is nothing but tropes. Yeah.
And Mike Morris, the FBI agent who goes rogue after he's told just to like take a break and not investigate things too much. You know, the evil super corporation that they're trying to, with, you know, motives that we don't really understand besides. And by the way, though, as far as I can tell, their motive is to spread low cost, low pollution energy.
Yeah, that's what I was confused about too. I'm like, they're talking about their plans for their big reactors, and I'm like, this sounds pretty good actually. Like, am I on team Auza? I think I am. Yeah, I mean, like, hey, somebody better stop that Higan guy. He's gonna mess up all this like cheap energy for everybody. You know, I might be on team Auza actually.
Yeah, it seems, and like, okay, so they're developing cybernetic ninja suits and like trying to sell them as weapons to governments, but it's like they're also potentially doing things that would be of great benefit to people all over the world. So
where do you draw the line, Monty?
Yeah, that's truly Doa.
Yeah.
That is the question this show is asking. They really present us with that. We're not just fishing for it in the sack of shit that they spill out before us.
It's this intense moral quandary that really is the core of Ninja Kamui.
Right. And Higan's like, should I stop them or should I let them give clean, free energy to the people? No, that actually never happens. He just decides to murder them.
We lived on a corn farm, and
we saw the little power plants on our corn farm stretching off into the horizon.
Well, those power plants were right out of the Electric State by Simon Stalnhag, by the way, too, if you're familiar with that art. It's basically they are the identical things, and I'm like, they just kind of stole that from his art, didn't I? I forgot about that. Yeah. But those big sort of like silo kind of things, you know, those are straight out of his paintings. If you know what I'm talking about.
I don't.
I'll send you a picture.
But I'll take a look.
Hold on. Here. Wait. Copy image. All right. See, there you go. Check it out.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's exactly the same thing. Yeah. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, hey, I like that guy's art too. I don't like it enough to like copy it and put it in my anime show, but I do like it. It is cool. Yeah. But so there is that. So anyway, they had slow internet out there, and maybe Auza might have been able to help speed it up a little bit. I mean, rural areas do struggle with getting access to the same internet speeds as people who live in metropolitan environments do. So, you know, maybe Auza can help out, you know? Yeah. This episode is brought to you by the Meta Quest 3, by the way. It's out there. It's the newest Quest VR headset. I've got one. It's pretty great, actually. I play a lot of walkabout mini golf. Big fan.
Why don't you just go play real mini golf, Noah?
Well, because this is a way I can play semi-real mini golf with all of my brothers who are strewn about the nation. We can all get together, and it feels like to actually do a little ad for VR. Like, it really does feel like you're there in person with them. Even just having the head and the arm movement is enough to create a very convincing sort of like feel that you're all there doing this activity. So that is fun, legit. Which is why I've become a huge House of fan through the course of watching this.
Duo's number one Auza fanboy.
I'm selling out. I'm selling out my entire ninja empire to Auza. Yeah.
And of course, Higan, despite the fact that he has this very powerful secret technique, cannot defeat the suits. So of course he has to get, the Kamui name in Ninja Kamui comes from his even more advanced suits that Emma steals for him. And then he puts on to look like the Oni that his son was dressed as, and like his little half mask was, samurai mask was in the early episodes of the show. So now, by the time we end episode 9, he's just running around killing other dudes in ninja suits that he couldn't defeat before because he didn't have one.
And I mean, that brings me back to the fact that this show is basically just like an early 2000s like PlayStation action game, you know?
It is true. That's very accurate.
Yeah, this show, the dialogue and the pacing and the tropiness of it feels like
it feels like a Metal Gear game, honestly.
Yeah, or yeah, some sort of, you know, action video game basically. It doesn't feel like the plot to a TV show, you know? It feels like, and maybe I'm doing video games a disservice by saying it this way, but you know the type of game I'm talking about. You know that I'm not talking about all video games.
Honestly, though, I had the exact same thought, which is like this would be infinity times more enjoyable if this was a video game instead of me just passively watching it. Because going from boss fight to boss fight against these ninjas would actually probably be extremely fun. And you know that way the gameplay and the design and the combat would be primary, and you know, okay, they shoehorn in a bunch of like gobbledygook romance, and
from the moment I met you, I broke the code.
Tired plot points around it. But the problem is that I have to just sit there and passively watch everything. So then the importance of all of those dialogue and story moments is raised relative to the combat and action, and that's where this show just sucks.
Yeah, there's no redeeming quality to any of that, you know.
No, it's all very surface level. There's no depth to it. Even the reveal of like Emma being the double agent is incredibly lame and non-impactful.
Well, it's like you said before. We don't know any of her backstory until after the reveal, so the reveal has no impact because we're like, oh, it was her. Why? And then they spend an episode telling us, and you're like, oh, okay. Well, I guess if I had known that earlier, it would have been a cool reveal. But
and then, of course, she was also part of the raid on his house and saved him with her secret technique that like puts him into cryo sleep or something like that, which is like
retroactively wowed.
I know, it's just so lame.
Yeah, so it's I'm surprised that as many people recommended this as did, because I also was having people tell me to watch this, and so I was also led to believe this would actually be a good show. I know, and it's not. It's not a good show. But so, and that surprised me because it came from a good amount of people, and the buzz on social media too was as such that it seemed like it probably was going to be good. And you know, I think people maybe got taken in by the animation being very good, you know, the look of the characters and all that. The design was very good coming into this costume design, mech design and all that. You know, it had a director that's had some recent success. So, you know, I can see why people would think it was going to be good. But once you watch it, if you're older than like 10 years old, you've seen all this stuff a million times already. Maybe that's part of our problem. Maybe we're just too old to appreciate it on the level that it needs to be, right? Because if this was the first anime I ever saw and I had never seen any like action revenge film or anything before that, I would think it was totally awesome, right? If all this stuff was new to me, I'd probably love it. But, you know, because I've existed for 40 years now, I have seen all of this stuff. So, you know, it doesn't, you know, it doesn't do anything for me. You know, it doesn't excite me. The fights are good. The characters design, the mech design is good. That's it. Those are the only positives for me in the show, aside from the few moments of humor I get from line delivery or the dialogue.
Yeah, the characters are terrible. We don't really sympathize with any of them because of the way that the plot is structured in the show. And, you know, I think the way they did it, why they did it the way they did it, though, is they had 12 episodes to work with. And, like, that's probably not enough time to do, like, the whole narrative that they wanted to do justice. But in that case, you just have to make hard editorial decisions and just John Wickify it, where you just take away backstory and add action to make it cool.
I think if that's the case, you just what you want to do is you just want to ditch the revenge thing altogether and do the prequel, essentially, like do the story of them going through the ninja school and all that, of, you know, establishing these relationships as characters, and then have it all fall apart at the end, you know. And have, you know, some sort of resolution where, you know, Higan and Mari go into hiding, and Kai, you know, stays with the company, like, and then leave it open to where, hey, people thought that was really good. Now you bring it back for season 2. You have the big shocking first episode where Mari dies, and then you get the revenge story, and then there's meaning to it, because you spent a whole season setting up this character. Otherwise, that's how you actually do it.
Well, and you know, that's how, spoilers, like, 25 years later, guys. So if you haven't seen Cowboy Bebop, like I am going to spoil Cowboy Bebop for you right now. But the reason why this very similar kind of outcast hunted narrative works in Cowboy Bebop is because Cowboy Bebop, the number of episodes that I think directly deal with the vicious Spike storyline is maybe like 5 or 6 in 26 episodes, and a movie. But it's, you know, it's an undercurrent to the entire show. It is the main plot line of the show. But because we have so many of these other episodes, we actually get a very good affinity for Spike's character. And, you know, it feels like he's moved on with his life. But when Vicious shows up, it's the past coming to haunt him. And ultimately, that makes Spike's death very meaningful at the end. And the narrative of this kind of like lost love in Julia, right? And it's because we have the context and the depth of characters, and we've grown to really like these characters because they're dimensionalized, and it doesn't feel weird when we see the flashbacks and everything that preceded. I mean, it's not only Spike's life; it's Jet's life too. It's just as his former life as a cop. Yeah, Faye's life.
Theme. That's the theme of the entire show is that you can't run from your past. Like
exactly
the reason why it works in Cowboy Bebop is because the characters are constantly trying to avoid their past and move on. Whereas in Ninja Kamui, he's like, I'm going to give the past a big hug, right? So then when the characters in Cowboy Bebop are constantly trying to avoid their past and just move on with their lives, every bit of past that gets dragged up feels like something special that you're really getting to learn about them, because the characters themselves are resistant to give it to you. So as a viewer, you feel that these things are precious, right? Whereas Ninja Kamui, it's all just like thrown at you like a huge, like you know, I don't know, like memory explosion kind of thing. I was thinking of different terms I shouldn't say on the podcast, but like
memory bukkake, I'll say
it. How are we so in sync yet over all these years? I don't understand, but I'm glad you said.
I'll say
but that's why Cowboy Bebop works, because their memories are precious, and bad memories are something you don't want to deal with unless you're forced to. And so characters that are forced to confront that stuff and that dragged out of them, that's impactful emotionally and drives a story, right? And that's what each episode gives you a little glimpse of something with one of the characters. Whereas this one, it's just like, oh yeah, we got to tell you this stuff because otherwise none of it makes sense. But because we're telling you it all after the fact, and we're just kind of laying it out like an IKEA diagram in the most basic fashion possible. It's basically just like a guy standing there holding up like a severed head, being like, "This person died." Like there's not even any lines.
Here's
right?
why you should care. And
yeah, exactly.
Commence flashbacks.
Remember step A when viewing step B. Like it's like there's no interest or emotion in any of that. So that's why it fails miserably in this show and why it works so well in Cowboy Bebop.
I think your description of Cowboy Bebop is very eloquent, and like it really captures why those moments in Cowboy Bebop are good.
I love that show.
I mean, it's great. I fucking love Cowboy Bebop. I think everybody should watch Cowboy Bebop, whether you're an anime fan or not. It is definitively, guys, the most accessible anime out there to Western viewers. I think, also period.
It's also just like, animation aside, it's also just one of the best television shows ever made. It's got to be in my top 5 at the very lowest. Yeah,
it's absolutely excellent. Also, if you guys haven't seen it and you don't want to read subs, that is a show where the dub is actually very good.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it is watchable even if you don't want to watch the original Japanese. I've seen Cowboy Bebop numerous times. I've watched the dub more times than I've watched the sub.
Same. I keep going back to the dub when I watch it, and I still do watch it fairly frequently, and I even like the movie too. You know, I think the movie's it's pretty good, but it's a nice little insert. I think it's supposed to take place between episodes like 23 and 24 or something like that, 24 or 25. In that show, it's supposed to take place
pretty late
in the middle of the ending of the show, more or less. But that aside, yeah, great show. Cowboy Bebop is great. Ninja Kamui is kind of not.
It's ass though. It's a hot piece of ass.
It's a very tepid piece of ass. Yeah, it sure is. It's got, like I said, it's a Twinkie, right? It's got that great explosion of flavor, but the rest of it is just revolting.
Well, Doa, on this show,
yeah.
we actually have avoided garbage for a little bit here. We've been quite fortunate in our run of viewings that things have been relatively good outside of Rebel Moon, and we will be, of course, doing Rebel Moon Part 2 coming up in a couple of weeks. It is being released April 19th. So it'll be 2 episodes from now. But we've had some really good shows. We've been very fortunate. I wouldn't say Three Body Problem is a very good show, but it was like fun. It was entertaining enough.
It was fun. It was a show that I can at least recommend. Where if you watch Three Body Problem, I think you'll have fun. I can say that. If you watch Ninja Kamui, you'll probably enjoy the fight scenes, but the rest of it is pretty forgettable. So I don't even know if
the only reason that I enjoyed watching Ninja Kamui, Doa, was because I knew I was going to be able to just laugh at it on this show with you.
That does make it easier.
So I will say, I agree, if you would like to enjoy some cannabis products with your friends and watch this show, it's probably pretty fun. So under the influence, on a sofa with your friends, I would recommend this show.
I did move back to California, But I would say if you want to watch a good anime that has a lot of the things from this show stylistically, but it's actually good, watch Jujutsu Kaisen. Watch that.
And if you want to watch hyper-violent ninjas, just watch Ninja Scroll. It's been around for 30 years at this point in time, and that's actually something that you probably should watch if you want a better grounding in influential world cinema.
True enough, yeah.
So.
And check out Galaxy Express 39 because that was another fun one from my childhood. Not violent at all comparatively, but still good. I'll just throw that one out there randomly. But yeah, so I mean, honestly, I don't have a lot more to add to it. I mean, pretty short episode, but it was a pretty content light show. So what can you say?
We said what needs to be said. It's also that it wasn't very long. Only 9 20-minute episodes have been released basically. So
we didn't finish it, and I think this, along with Monarch Legacy of Monsters, are shows that I'm fine not finishing.
Well, we're not going to dedicate an hour to talking about the last 3 episodes. Let's put it that way.
Maybe. So let's talk about the next episode, because I feel like maybe at the next episode, are you going to finish watching Ninja Kamui? Are you going to watch the last few episodes?
So it'll have to be a few more weeks before the episodes come out, but maybe we'll do a little addendum on our final thoughts on a different episode down the line.
Hold on. Let me save you the trouble. I can do it right now.
All right,
I can do it right now. All right, so here's
you were right. By the way, as an update on Shogun, you were totally right about Mariko's husband immediately coming back alive.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I mean, it's the most predictable thing in the world. Yeah,
it was funny because, like, Doa, I don't know if you've watched more Shogun, but we did the first 4 episodes.
Actually, I didn't know.
So literally, what's so funny, Doa, is that happens literally in like the first 5 minutes of episode 5.
That's hilarious.
Instantly.
I'm rewatching the first 4 with my wife because I thought she'd like it too. So now we're rewatching that. So we're re-catching up again. But I'm not surprised at all that happens. It's the most obvious thing in the world. When they like fight him back behind the building, you're like, all right, he's not dead, obviously. But
it was just funny because it's like instantly in the next episode it happens.
To the shock of nobody. But like so for this show, clearly Higan's going to die because he, he's lost everything. All he wants is revenge. He'll get it. He'll be like, oh, the last stab. Oh, I killed him.
He'll also unceremoniously kill that Auza tech bro too.
Oh, I disagree. I think that Auza Tech Bro will actually have like some secret amazing ninja technique.
Of course.
He's actually going to be the final boss.
Or not Yamaji.
Either that, one of the two. But he will definitely, that Tech Bro is definitely going to be much harder to put down than we're led to believe. Clearly, he's been putting time in on that treadmill. He's going to be strong. That will be a fight. I guarantee you. Is it a technology-based fight, or does he have some secret ninja skills that he learned from Yamaji because, he was palling around with him? And Yamaji doesn't care. He's going to sell stuff to anybody, right? So maybe he bought some ninja skills too. But so I think he's going to be a fight. Here's my other prediction, is that obviously Higan dies. I think Mike Morris is going to live because they've set him up so much to die that it's gone around and come out the other side where he's now going to live, where it's like they're like, oh well, we'll take the he's days away from retirement trope and actually let him retire, But maybe he'll do something where it's like he kind of has to be on the run a little bit. He's not really, he doesn't get to retire with honors from the force or whatever, but he gets out, you know, and he's going to be the one that does that, because you know, we do have the strange, like, kind of fatalistic aspect of Mike and Hegon's characters, where Mike chose work over family and his family died, and Hegon chose family over work and his family died. So it's like they have these two sort of opposite aspects to their past, but their families both died. So I feel like, I don't know, maybe the moral of the story is that you should stick with work, and so Mike will live. I don't know. That's my other prediction. And I can't remember any of the other characters well enough to make any.
How about Dilly, the assistant ninja,
Dilly?
who isn't dead yet, who sits at the table with Emma and Big D?
Oh, well, like, she hasn't even really been much of a character yet, so I don't know. She's probably gonna have like some neat technique and then die in some random like mid-episode fight. She seems like a pretty easy like a mini boss kind of level character. Or she just pieces out. She's just like, nah, I'm not going to participate in this, and she just leaves. Yeah, who knows? Maybe we'll talk about it a little bit in our future episode. But those are my predictions anyway, in case we don't.
Okay. Well, fortunately or unfortunately, who knows? The release date of Amazon Prime's Fallout TV series has been moved up a day, so we will be doing Fallout next week, and then Rebel Moon Part 2, The Mooning.
The Scar Giver. the scar. Like, I'm assuming they mean like emotional scars, because that's what I feel like I got a little bit for the first one. I'm in for a lot more from the second movie.
Maybe it's just Jeremy Irons is a lion. In the Scar Giver. It's giving us more Scar.
I love that. I mean, hey, that's a crossover I would absolutely support, you know. That movie's not going to be good either. They released a poster. It is an extremely generic looking poster.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
So yeah. There you guys go. We will
Fallout though.
Fallout.
We could never be steered wrong with a TV show based on a video game, right?
Or a TV show based on another intellectual property made by Amazon Prime, because that has never gone badly before.
Oh, no, never. Don't even make me think about Wheel of Time, man.
Wheel of Time, Rings of Power. You pick.
Maybe third time's a charm, you know.
So we will be discussing all 8 episodes of the new Fallout
Expanse
show.
was good.
They did not make The Expanse. They only picked up The Expanse after it had been dropped by Sci-Fi, I think.
Okay. Well,
so the first 3 seasons, I believe, of The Expanse were not made by Amazon Prime. So it was kind of like too late to ruin it. That's true, though. That's true.
Yeah.
Also, The Boys has been, until the last season, The Boys was pretty entertaining, and that's based on a graphic novel. So
I've always been up and down on that one, but that's a whole different show. Yeah.
Well, we'll get to The Boys, because we are definitely going to do season 4 on this show.
When does that come out?
Soon, actually, this summer.
Yeah. We're going to have a busy summer. It's going to be fun. More Star Wars. The Acolyte trailer dropped. Yeah.
Yeah. There's actually a lot of stuff.
Yeah. The Acolyte. I like the High
House of the
Republic
Dragon
era. I don't like how